How to follow high lines, high grid line setting, rotation, spin surface, and redirect locations and reduction. You have to send the console calculation line setting. Today in class, we're going to go through the birthing crystalline and the magma cyclones of 62 positions of all calculation. Now, the recognition timelines and sectors have to really position location and track lines. Moon is set location at 12 million sets. The set location is spacing line in the high line position with a 24 million set line calculation system. Setting new compartment location of frame settings. Moon has to understand the track lines to your 12 DNA line setting. To get in that position locations, you have to go into the future adaptation line interference and bring it into your position location as a position of receiving core setting. Now, receiving core setting is like a did you get the message? Did you get the memo? Setting direct line signal location is notification. You know what notification is when you come on SPACETIMECREATER. It gives you exactly what's going to be in position location and track line, but you have no idea what the video is about. Okay, so this is the position locations that we all have to come into. So the moon can understand you through representation of where you are in your own technology setting. You have 12 track line settings and you have 24 line setting locations. This is what we work with first in position of the moon setting. This opens all track line connections of information. Panel operation setting locations. You start with the sectors and you start with the vectors, and that's what we're going to do in position of track line calculation setting. The moon has to be set up in a certain location to set line connections so you understand how to recognize it through time frame, a time sequence. Digital framing line calculation is a computer operation line setting. Compute system location is position locations into your CPU. Now, the VR sets is already in its virtual reality calculation line condition, which is its meta universe line position, track interference, and operation signal sets position location high setting. We have to really understand how to use inline communications when it comes into call signs. Okay, coming in line calculation system, how to get into track location, the formulas of equation, right? So that's important how we have to come into code signals locations, how we communicate through each other through the mind-line conditions of space. Space becomes very real to set location setting. This opens all track line conditions, its information panel. The rotation line interference is your 12 DNA, which is connected to your 12 planets. You have 12 planets and set locations. You have to start understanding how to communicate with them. All line communication of its frequency setting. And now you're in set location into 60,000 hours and set lines of 60,000 minutes and 60,000 line stream and set locations into one perimeter of 1 minute in position of one sector. Sector calculation system to the moon setting comes into position location into 60 million miles per second per channel per operation stream in position location to line connection high setting. Operation signals a nanosecond location setting, interference of channel operation to its moon setting puts a position location in its perimeter. The line calculation system is all levels and track locations coming into 60 in position all levels, docile calculation, line position in one position, point dot line conditions into 2 in line connection high setting. 62 positions of perimeters in line connections of Pluto sets a position location attraction. Now this opens all sequence locations of patterns. You're also coming into 2 line setting into 6. Water containment line rotation in position location of the moon, setting up an energy wash line of a track location setting. Water containment line stream in set location, set line in position. Opens all sequence patterns into a new connection setting, okay, to operation. All right, so setting position location, all of those. Now the rotation line settings, we're coming in cluster channels. Now cluster channel comes into cyclone line setting. Cyclone line rotation interference and track location. Center lines at set locations. All right, so we set position location high setting. Now the reversal line, reverberation line, rotation and position location opens all setting and position. Okay, see that? Now there's a donut setting. Now, the donut setting rotates its surface, sets position locations in the opposite cycle, and set locations into line conditions of its west setting. Recognition line and line rotation interference sets a line communication of barometer check. Now this is where it comes into all calculations into all levels. Now this is where it comes into the Arthurians line conditions of the barometer line rotation, setting track lines of communication, setting line and position locations into solar generation line streams and set locations, setting direct locations into line communication to its first track line conditions of its atom rotation. Okay. Now, line condition high setting is on levels of the moon. The moon sets line position location at 12. 12 line position equal locations in box, line position locations into 2 in position locations of pi. Recognition of time setting position attraction. Now, the line calculation system sets all level systems into a new satellite position attract line in rotation to a new ground line or rotation surface in position of dimensional line setting location. Okay? Setting track line interference locations comes into position of 6 in position of travel. Setting line interference comes into 2-line setting. Rotation spin cycle sets line locations into cluster line settings. The operation cycles in the line communication surface sets all position of track lines. The track line is extremely important when you come in position location all setting. Recognition line interference comes in a rotation spin, sets an operation cycle in a line position location at 12 setting in the opposite system. Now, inline communication system, done by equation. Surface seen through moon lines, high center position location operation surface, line position of all calculations to new clock line rotation. Now, coming in at 12 line into 24, into 48, into 72. Now we go in position location 144, right? Like I said, 1 over line of 2 in set location of 0, 0, 0, block of 3 line interference of 2 set locations. All right, that's how it's set up. Now, setting position of track line in set locations, 1,000 line setting in position of 200 years in set locations. That's years in set location line setting. So that's 12 line setting line interference, setting in 12 position locations, times lines and line interference at 12 line positions comes into 144. 144 line communication of positive into line condition negative. This comes into a prime number in set location equal line condition to a box into a triangle set location setting, done by equation. All right, setting direct line signals is understand how to use the clock line conditions to 12, 24, 48, 72, 144. The DNA line setting line interference of the moon line rotation interference is position location at 12 million sets in set locations. Okay, so this is where it comes into slash, into box, into triangle line condition high setting, into replication set interference. Sets position locations to its atom line rotation and set locations. All right, so the atom line rotation interference sets position locations back into the 6-line calculations to a half pipe and 6-line conditions in position of the box and line conditions to a triangle set location into new pyramid set and high center locations in 4 waving cyclones and high setting location, done by equation. All right, so as we come into the moon set line position location, it rotates its spin. It sets another clocking center location to a position to its cyclone line setting rotation surface, setting line calculation system. So this walks its sequence location into levels of panel, rotation sin line, and rotation position and track line. Recognition line calculation system opens up an OR channel and dimensional into 12 sequence locations of panels and rotation surface. So that's done by equation. Recognition line calculation is schematic line position locations and moon setting. Now the 12 million set line is set up as locations. Now we're going to go through the 12 line rotation interference and 36 position of panels. This is 24 sequence locations equals box line position of triangle, triangle line position locations. This is an X line, T line rotation in position location UFO line setting into scan position of all levels. Scanning line interference at 1, 2 into metric calculation setting into 24 circle line position locations, equal line conditions into Merkaba, setting position locations into northwest, south, and east, diamond core shift line in set locations, box position locations into energy wash, setting line position locations into 4 into 9 equal line conditions of 0, line position location E equal line setting, 0 equals line position attraction, done by equation. Resting on position line settings of energy wash line setting, rotation surface sets locations and polarities. Polarity line rotation into 6 position locations over 9. 9 equals 0, 0 equals 9 location setting and position of track line. Setting line position location comes into a moon set position line setting. Sun is in waiting signal in position locations. Sun lines its system locations, waiting on position location 8 line settings, setting in position of 6. Rotation surface into back force line center location triangulation. Setting direct signal location sets up a new moon set line rotation interference, travels its position of 12 DNA track lines. The setting line interference comes into computer compute line rotation in track line conditions. 0 line position of 9, 9 position location of 12, 12 line position of 7, 7 locations of 5, 5 line center line position locations, puts everything in line communication of future adaptation line setting in set locations in set high setting, done by equation. Recognition surface, high position location observation. shifting polarities and panels. Now the parabols and the rotation surface is in a new moon set position location high setting. Travel line position locations comes into all calculations. Bullseye. Now, the set line position location, your moon set line connection system, another moon set location, another moon line rotation, another moon line rotations. Okay, all moon sets are in position location of flux capacitor. Setting line position locations comes into a box position location at time measure. Recognition line calculation system comes into digital framing. Digital framing locks its signals line position locations into its box position location into its TV line setting rotation. Setting direct line signals and set location high setting. So this is where comes in alpha, comes into delta, comes into beta, beta line rotation interference, omega into gamma, gamma signal line position of magma line in position of triangulation at all position location of north, in position of west, in position of east, in position of south. South line, channel line, rotation, surface line position locations. Puts the moon set line connection system and allow all of it, allocate line interference of new schematic line position of channel. Nano streams. So the nanostream comes in line rotations, sets up or channel of dimensional lines of orbits in set location setting in track locations, done by equation. Now, as the moon comes in a coolant line setting, the moon sets line position location 98 line setting line interference, Celsius line position location of Fahrenheit position locations into all 6, in another 6 line setting in line communications, energy graph lines and rotation surface, back force line settings in 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 set locations and setting. Now, the rotation line center location, the moon line rotation sets position location 9, line position location at 2. 2 sets line position location of box position location line condition of triangle sets line position locations to new 0 into line communications to new power, recognition line position of 3 waving cycles and 3 positions of panels offer string location settings, done by equation. Recognition line can high system based location of the moon line rotation is setting them new patterns of recognition. That's exactly what it is, Heather. Pattern recognition line calculation system, weather patterns, correlation system, coming in line interference of 110 line setting, 111 line position, 112 line position locations, 113 in set locations, and 114 line setting in set line system. Okay, so we take the one line into one line and one line. Pentaline rotations, we take the one line, and 0 operation. We take the 1 to 1 and 2 line rotation interference. So that's 1, 2, 3 in position locations in line condition high system. So this comes into all levels of sector calculations and setting in position of track lines in a triangulation line position of box position location in percentage 98 line calculation system in direct location settings. That's 2% line position locations of pi set location setting. Done by equation. Right? All right. Breathe, guys, breathe. Okay, so let's see here. How's everybody doing? Heather, correlation setting, high position of track lines. Let's go Max, set lines Nikki into levels. Merlin, Johnny, Guardian, Gypsy, David, Trinity. How's it going? Gingy. All right. Andy, David, Geneva. It's great to see everybody today. A lot going on right now. Setting up code factors, line position of fraction, line settings, operation surface locations, high set interference. This is how we take all levels of debris, is set location to set line and position to new moon, operation to nano setting, and track location set interference. Okay? All right, and line communication to position coloration patterns and theta through indigo line position location setting. All right? So you really, really understand why it's so important to stand the moon lines in your 12 DNA set line. It's all in recognition location of patterns of high setting, guys. So in position, your moon is set up locations into 12 million set lines and block surface locations into 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 channels, line position of 6, 6 position of 7, theta line position of 8, and 9 is center calculation. All right. So setting direct line setting in line rotation interference sets 12 line position of 24, 24 into 48. Now that's a window set line calculation setting into the box line rotation and surface locations into 2 position of box setting. Rotation surface location comes in as 72. Now the 72 sets the line position into one line into 0, 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 track location in position. So that's 7 line channels and set locations in equalize calculations, MC line setting into diamond core, a resistant channel. Operation stream position location into 6 inline conditions of 8 and 9 set locations into 12 central units in position. Done by equation. All right. Setting symbols, letters, and position of lines. Recognition line connection system. So 7 over 0, 0, 0. 3 set location of the bracket line connection setting. So setting line into 3, line position of triangle, set lines in position of an atom rotation surface, and dimension line lock. Setting position of traction. Setting direct signal locations. One UFO comes in, scans position of 7, 6, 0, 0, and track location. Fortitude light streams in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 graph line settings. Recognition line setting in center position. Open signals into another dimensional time and lock sequence locations into high setting. Merkaba set lines and block line and rotation into overlap calculation system into 4 generation line setting and high setting location setting. Line communication and travel position locations in operation cycle. The cycle line interference sets line position locations, ground line operation, power direction line connections, times sectors, time lines, times pi, high center position traction. Done by equation. All right. Code signaling, code factoring line conditions of pi, recognition line setting locations, moon set position, cluster line channel, and location setting. So the moon is set up position location all levels and triangulations in 3 set location. So it time speed its set line conditions. Now time speed line center, the moon sets line position location here, in position of here, in position of here, in position of here, in set location settings, and 4 set location setting. So the moon is surfacing line interference at set position locations into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 set location settings. So again, this comes into digital line interference or walk line center line position locations into levels, waving central line calculation streamlines into a wall surface, setting 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1 line setting rotation surface. Done by equation. All right, so the position of the colossal line setting is now set up locations to a nucleus location. Now, the line calculation is a nitro setting. Nitro setting line interference sets a box position location in all level setting. Box position location at 2 set locations. 3 line setting in position of 2 point set location of atom lines. Line interference and chair recognition line calculation settings. All right, so 4 line rotation in a circle and set location in position of the setting, rotation. Setting position of track lines. The moon comes in position location line setting. The moon is starting to recognize the travel of calculation line connections to the spacing line that's in a 12 DNA line calculation system of a cluster line channel. A cluster line channel is an operation system locations, taking 12 million set lines in position of back and line communication to central calculation system. But you have to decentralize the calculation system first before you get into digital framing. Digital framing to set location setting sets law of position locations to its alpha, delta, theta, beta, and omega. Line calculation of gamma, anything through sigma. Line position of track lines and high center line interference into a new box position, to a new triangulation line setting, to an open sequence pattern in recognition of line calculation system into an auger and program location setting. Done by equation. So everything that I'm saying is retracking line condition in moon. Moon is an operation location of sector and set locations. Sector line position of pi. Pi position locations of moon. Moon operates as line setting, operation, equation command. Done by equation. Moon's done. So that sets lines in the sector line connection system. Now that's a 12 line sequence. Now the sequence location comes into all sub locations of balance position track lines. Now you can line communication setting, recognition of timeline lock locations into ethers, ether line rotations, earth position locations, earth line setting, high setting, interference, and set locations. All right. So you come into the Grithians. Now the Grithian line center line position locations into pi recognition of time. Sets line position of sonar line recognition line condition of 4 waving cycles. Line conditions all levels of the sun and position location of the moon set location setting. Line connection high center into a triangulation line position. Opens all position locations in a graph line stream. This sets line position of 4, line position of 9 set locations. So the 9 line center sets a new moon rotation surface in position locations to a new energy graph line stream into an argon line rotation of digital line position locations into higher set locations to an energy wash. Rotation surface in position locations high setting. So recognition line calculation line interference is new adaptation of nano setting line interference and track location system. Now we're going to go into 24 million set position to new moon set locations of nanotechnology. Line calculation system is bringing track line communication settings in position locations. Going through line setting line interference of 36 million set line calculations in position direction, line calculations in position of all levels of formation, a lines calculation line setting in position of all levels, into vector over pi. Now, the recognition of the moon setting sets line position locations. Now, when you get in an observation cyclone, you high set location to its position. Now, opening cyclones and high center line position locations comes into a now galaxy shift. I'll say that again, a galaxy shift. Dimensional doors are opening up to higher levels of expansion now. The recognition line condition of the moon is now set up locations in the 12 million sets. Spacing line and CPU. In the VR line setting in rotation surface, the electronic line connection position location to the holographic line setting of streamline interference is now in 0, 1 location. The high position line condition line system in 0, 0, 0, 1 line rotation is in computer operation line setting. So high position location is a 24 million set. Okay, setting position of track line spacing line calculation is position location when it comes into 12 spacebar settings. Recognition locations comes into digital layers and line position. 12 foundation graph lines are set at location. Granites, line setting, line interference, crevice line position of triangles, line communication interference, alpha, delta, zeta, zeta, omega, zeta, line connection, high setting, track lines at 0, 0, graph line position location, high setting position. So sending position locations into electron calculations and line communications when it comes into all levels of nanotech setting line interference. Get the team at position location energy wash, setting track lines in the new moon set in the new operation cyclone and high set locations into 24 million lines of compartment location nano setting, set location position attraction. All right, so that's done by equation. How we all doing through locations here? Atomic symmetrics, perfect, Galilean codes incoming. Well, it's all about understanding clusters, rotation spin cycles, sets position all levels of perimeters. So you're now in line communication of 26 lines in phenomenal line change. The moon recognizes your nano setting in structural locations, each cell modification cyclone. The cyclone is extremely important because it sets position locations. Setting track lines in each clock line interference sets position of dimension, setting locations of atmosphere location of change. Quantum line interference, escape line position of formation of console. There's 2 console line setting locations into 1 decimal point. Now you get a line in a line rotation of 1 position 1 decimal 7, location of 0, 0, 0, 0. Bracket locations of 4 set locations. All right. Now the 4 line setting is line position location of 9. That's where it comes into an energy wash line setting in position of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Into time sequence line setting in 1, 2, 3, 4. Setting position locations, setting position locations, setting position locations, and 3 set locations in line connections. Arguing locations into copy line, sending line interference, emblem line connection, line system position, application line calculation system in 3 line settings, measures and set locations into 1, into 2, into 3 set locations, indirect line settings into line setting locations, docile calculation new flux capacitor, 2 console calculation in Fibonacci, sequence position of 2 panels, offer stream location settings. Done by equation. All right. Setting provision location and moon set. So the observation line setting is all about understanding how to calculate and modify through square reference location and position height setting in line conditional levels. Line setting into wall circuits locations in 2 panels on left and 2 panels on right location setting. All right. So your moon is set up position location high setting. Recognition line calculation is a 0 rotation spin, setting line position into the center position of traction. Now, in the moon set line rotation interference, sets position of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, setting line communications into 3 set line connections, heart, mind, and soul. It's all set at position of traction. So, understanding how the moon is all set up is to understand the application of its perfection. The perfection location is its digitalized setting. The recognition line condition is its pattern recognition. So getting into that position location opens up all levels of your moon set location and nano setting and direct location signals. Done by equation. All right. Okay. Captain. How's it going? How are we doing? Be careful if you're in line position of driving. Chips. Mass calculations reported download. Yeah. Now, I just wanted to show you how powerful it is how you set your location in your moon now. Because your moon is in nano. It's in your DNA track, your 12 foundation line settings. It's in energetic graph line conditions. So we're setting up observation granite lines. Granite line is the crevice line and ether line rotation interference. This is the Grythians, set location, the high set location of sonar. Recognition of time sectors in position, sectors of pi, vectors of pi. Okay, so the stability in line setting of a line position is all levels of open sequence, open patterns of recognition, pattern recognition of coloration, alpha line setting in sigma in rotation surface, sigma into gamma line setting in rotation setting, and alpha, delta, beta, and sigma line conditions of balanced position location and one set line conditions of going forward and backward location. Okay? So you have to really understand the energetic lines of unification now. Recognition line setting is all set locations into 4-box location settings into higher measures and set locations, right? So we got a line position of 3 into 4-stop location setting. All right, so energetic graph lines and rotations to a position of center line, which is cod weaving. Okay, cod weaving rotation surface and set location of the moon. Right, there's the moon set. Now the moon set's line position location in one division line setting. Okay, setting a position of 2 division line setting. Set a position location of 3 in center of position of a 3 line set location. So the atom surface and rotation surface is position location into 12 measured. Okay, complicated stuff, guys. Now, once you understand the operation line setting, this is where you come into the galaxy shift, setting to the moon line of a 0 gravity rotation surface, setting track lines again into another donut and set location in the center operation stream. Recognition line calculation sets 2 in division, 1 in traction, 1 in 3 set location and triangulation, down by equation, right? So your moon is all set up to factors of pi. It also has quasar high setting. Now, understand the holographic line stream. The moon has to understand the position of sonar in 3 and 4 and 5 set locations. All right, so your moon's here and it's shifting in direct location settings. So it's moving across line in set location. See the moon's surface? So the coloration and the recognition of patterns changes position, location, of direction, okay, in 3 set waves. So you got 1 wave, 2 wave, and 3 line connections. The astrologic line conditions changing line position, location, of perceptions in line conditions of pi, in line position locations into 1, into position sectors, sector line calculation, the 3 set line settings into vectors in positional locations in high setting in alpha, zeta, omega, and delta and beta set locations of omega set rotation, down by equation, right? So you have to understand how to set up the moon in future calculation. So if you understand how this works, then you understand the position that you're coming into foundations. This is all levels of 144 in set location, on condition of DNA, right? That's all set up position, right? So this puts you in 1200, clocking setting line interference in position locations into 144 center position, right? So that's setting line and setting locations. That's all done, right? But the moon now is set locations into 12 million sets of rotation surface and location, all right? So that's 3 waving patterns into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of data stream. So that's set up. Now, the center calculation of clock line rotation is position 24. 48. Equal line condition of 3 0 sets lines in position location into velocity and set locations. Now, the 48 line setting sets position of the center operation line conditions. This comes into all levels and position location of computer into 72 set lines of calculation. So puts position location into 144, setting line position location into another 6 position of high setting, Rotation surface puts position locations into center calculations of 244 set location setting. Done by equation. Metric scales are set up to your moons now, okay, through sector and vector. Congratulations. So there's a lot of things that have to understand surface location of setting. Ether channels. Now, ether channel is a digital lock. Now, digital lock sets location setting. So you have an ether line setting, right? You got an Earth rotation surface, okay? So the ether line and rotation interference sets sonar line rotations into 3 set locations in position location setting. Graphing line setting locations to your moon set location, right? So the sun is on standby in position, right? Recognition line conditions. So that's 6 in all line setting, in rotation surface, then track locations. Track is very powerful in set line setting. You'll recognize more communication when you come into moon set. Rotation surface and triangulation line setting, okay? Setting position of center, setting position of center, setting position of center, and position locations. Now, the ultralight line interference changes box line position locations into 1 line setting and direct locations into 2 panels of operation. Now, this is really interesting because the set location of the galaxy shifts its Fibonacci line sequence. It sets position of traction. The traction rotates its surface and open signal in set locations, setting the line position locations into all set locations into 12 line setting, done by equation. All right, so surface location of the moon is really recognizing its geometry location of setting. It has its own geometric pattern that has its recognition. The sonar calculation line center is at 12 DNA track line conditions. So that's why there's so much information on your moon of operation. Okay, so zeta and position locations, alpha line conditions, omega and delta positions at all levels tracks its system when it comes into 12 DNA. The setting position location of your moon is now in sector and calculations into civility line rotation. That's in 12 settings in 12 dimensional line rotations into 6 stargates. Okay, the teen setting location, nano setting location is in 12 gates, stargate line streams, setting pixel activation lines as cell modification. Now, the recognition line setting in time sector is position of solar graph line setting and rotation surface, setting all position location into positions to its atom line setting into an orb channel in operation. Done by equation. It's all set up. That's how your moon's now. Moon's line and line interference of vector and position location of vector and calculation. Flux capacitor, space and time is set line conditions into 1 time sequence into 3 panels of operation line setting, all time lines all at once. Done by equation. And that's it. But it's amazing how you actually take the 2 moon settings through geometrical pattern, okay, from separation to merge, modification to evolve, mold to triangulate set location. The sectors and vectors of both moon setting is now set position of its future adaptation of compute line setting in position of CPU of VR set lines in calculations to nanotechnology position location. Done by equation. Hooah! Right? So, moon's all set up. We started locations of the time reactor line setting. Now we have a new T reception line calculations. This opens up higher levels of open sync locations. How to use the 0, how to use the center, and how to use the magnetic highway information line to your set location, guys. Okay? Look at it. It's moving very fast. You see it? See it moving? Don't look at this. Look at me. Okay? Just showing you how fast I can spin. All right, so the 0 line rotation is set up. Power direction line condition into a UFO line rotation interference. See it? Ground lines in scan position. See? Okay, so this time stance precedes its time locks into time zone. Okay? This where it comes into a TV reception line, into a holographic line communication setting. All set position location of your moons of sector and vector are all set for your simulation graph lines in a holographic in a particle setting. In set locations, into a plasma channel of digital locations in set location setting, done by equation. So precognition. Yeah. But I just want to show you how this is all set up now. Okay. So you have to have the compartments of the moon all set up positioned because it's in new travels now. So the moon can go through anything through dimensional location settings, right? You got 3 waving cyclones, right? So your moon sets here, right? Remember, it's the base. Travel here, 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 done by equation, right? That's the moon. So the moon sets line position always in the center line calculations to its atom, because that's where you guys are through location. So in direct locations, you come into this position of track line. You come into this position locations to a circle line calculations into 144 track line calculation. Setting direct location into 244 measures its position location setting. Travel calculation line in adherence, position locations all levels, open signals. Now the recognition line setting sets another dimension of a Fibonacci 1 sequence position 1 pattern that rotates its surface in position location into its west signal location. Okay, so it gets more complicated what the moon can do, but now it's in a moon operation of its own atom line setting. It's in its rotation, it's on its own plasma channel, it's in its digital frame in a holographic line setting into its own galaxy shift in set location, done by equation. So shifting gears, heading north. So glad the test is behind me for the entry. So it's incredible as we come into this more line calculations to your moon operation cyclones, right? It's all set up. It's all through confirmation. It's all confirmed position, right? So you guys have to really understand how to use your foundations to your moon now, because it's in whole levels of compute system communications of new technologies. Team is a nano setting, but the moon is also a nano setting. So recognize your setting. So be careful on your thoughts, right? Same with the position of the CPU. So I got a CPU line setting. So location of VR. Setting 144. Okay. 1 0 line, 1 open signal into magnetic high wave formation cyclone. Position location of track. Okay, this is where it comes into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 line set locations, graph line streams. Okay, so this is where it comes into higher position of channel stream. Okay. Into sky grid line rotation. Sky grid's here in position, right? So understanding the sky grid line and rotation of ether line rotation of positions, 1 position of overs, Earth position line connection, okay? So coming lines of wires sets lines into the grounds into 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 location settings, okay? So you have to recognize how it's all set up, position of all compute system. Your computer adaptation line center sets all calculations. How to use the atom line, how to use the rotation, how to use the circuitry line setting, how to use the circuitry line setting, how to use the calculations to the electrical setting, the panel line rotations, the ether palpitation stream. Now, a palpitation stream is the connection line setting location setting in position to your heart recognition line connection. That's position location that's coming to computer adaptation to your heart, which is a computer operation signal. All right. There's a lot of things you have to recognize in position because now you're coming into 63 of Fibonacci sequence. Heart has to understand its timeline and set position locations into its server position of track line connection. So we all have to understand the number sequence locations of patterns, 0 operational locations into 12, right? 12 lines in line at 13, and a location higher itself. I'm just giving you a reference position. Higher self to the avatar line setting, all right? So the avatar sets signal locations, okay? So dimensional lock settings and rotation surface, okay? Comes down in channel line position of center line, okay? Recognition of timelines in 3 set locations, all right? Setting lines of 0 in position locations into 0 line of 1, in position of 2, in position of 3, in position of 4, right? It's all set locations and the 4 set location settings into a new TV reception line in theta communication. Done by equation. So it's incredible how we come into this all set locations. The galaxy shift lines are now in position of 4 panels. There's 4 pillars of light. Okay. So we all have to learn how to use our moon in a new technology surface. This is surfaces in position locations in a T reception line to its correlation. The collaboration centers are now in set location to a holographic line setting. Your moon is now in position to all calculations in center operation to all pi's at high setting. 12 and 24 sequence location set interference. Okay. So you have to recognize the pi's now. Okay, from 24 to 48 to 72, 144, and 244 of a new clock line rotation to higher levels of travel position location. Okay, that weaves its system. Code activation line setting sets line position location into center position. 2 panel operation streams. So this is where it opens up all position locations into this line communication. This is how you open up the avatar through frequencies of Fibonacci of 2 atom rotations in one way in the opposite direct location setting. The operation line setting sets line communication, right? So now you understand the detection location and reflex line calculation system to a position location of traction. You have to understand the pi calculation line setting. This opens all position locations to all setting line conditions to new dimensional line in surface location setting position. Okay? There it is, right there. So as it comes into stabilizing, that's right, Heather. Stabilizing center line interference comes into zero track. Now that zero line rotations in its dimension line opens up another dimensional door setting in position. Okay? That opens up more security because you guys are in 62. So the perimeter line rotation interference here is position locations of all set locations of Pluto. Pluto's above location right there. All right. Pluto sets the signals in center position. All right. Recognizes the 12 DNA line setting into 12 million line calculation of the moon in set location 144. Recognizes communication of security perimeters and parameters into 24 sequence of 24 dimensional line setting in set location and nanosite locations. Now the perimeters are set up position locations into sector and position location of vector of both 2 moon set line setting. Recognition to pattern location setting and position location. Done by equation. Hooah. That's it. So as a line communication position of directions, we come into 63. You have to understand what 3 is. You have to understand what 3 is. Put 3 together, you get a double helix. That's the only way you can travel through a portal, travel through a jump scar, or anything through timeline, time jump, time calculation, anything that vortex chamber locations. That's the only way to understand your universe operation to its travel calculation. Okay? 2 atom rotation line interference, one going one way, going the other way. They come together, opens up your universe. That's how the avatar is able to travel through in set location. That's the only way. You have to understand how to use your number sequence line settings. You astrological line condition at the allocated line interference. So in set location of sectors of the moon is now in psychological interface. So is your moon set location of 24 dimensional line interference is also in psychological interface. In set locations of future adaptations into your simulation line conditions of operation. Done by equation. It's all set up. So have fun with that. All right. Let's see here. Yeah, that's right, Heather. There's a line communication of proxy and division location high setting. Setting position locations, all levels of sectors of the moon. Into CPU line and VR line rotation, in position location and 24 dimensional location of nanotechnology team setting, into set location. All right. Yeah, I know. And you guys are feeling it right now, right? It's hard to explain what just happened, but It's incredible when you understand the force recognition of space and time. The moon sets all operation to the position of its motion line connections, guys. Your 12 graph line setting line interference is true to understand the psychological of its interface position. It's all connected to Schumann resonance, right? If you get a ground line center rotation surface location setting, okay? So you're standing on this. This is you, right? Trying to understand position. That's you, right? So if you don't understand your grounds, this is what's going to happen. So you're here now. Okay. That's you trying to find your grounds. So your moon is set up in a motion line, connects position of center line, right? So it sets position locations and position locations in your DNA and set location. All right. So this is the position locations where you really have to get your grounds in position. Okay. So that's important, location settings, because now your moon is now in a 3-sector location setting into vector cross stream location and velocity set location. All right. So you really got to get your grounds now. Okay, because your moons are set up position locations of where it's supposed to be in the foundations, the set locations of your 12 DNA and 24 DNA line rotation in dimension locations, 12 dimension and 24 dimension line settings in position locations into 6 Stargate line settings into 12 set locations into God codes. Okay. The higher you go, the more you understand position location, geometric operation design. Okay, everything is in coordinates. Everything is in chronological order. Everything is line stream into alphabetical line connections into its digital frame of its plasma channel that sets light in position location T reception line that opens all signal locations into its proxy, to its antenna, to its satellite, to its Wi-Fi, to its modem, to its location, to its center line connections of all operation. Okay? Yeah, I know. It's a true amazing thing when you understand what you're doing through set division line settings. All right, so all moon setting locations in 12 is now in sector. Line conditions of 24 is now set locations of vector. Done by equation. Ooh-ah. Triangulation set position. All right. You're welcome. Glad to help you guys out. Location setting. 5 to 10 minutes. I'll see you guys on line communications live. Adios.